Hey folks, this video is more educative, but it is a real life existing situation going on right now, which I'll be using to help explain it. But I did do some research and tried to find stuff on the internet pertaining to permissive referendums in New York State. And although there's some information, it was scattered about, and it wasn't any real good explanations of what it was or how it worked. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to start with what is a permissive referendum. Okay. Basically, it depends on the state you live in. In New York State, it is a permissive referendum state. And what that means in general is if at least 5% in a local municipality, like for instance, in this case, it's the town of Victor, New York, 5% of the votes in the last gubernatorial election, okay, of the electors, 5% of that amount, of the total amount that voted, is what you need for a petition that you can apply basically in opposition of really not an opposition of maybe the resolution, but an opposition of having the town board members decide on something. Okay, so I guess in a nutshell, that's the best way I would describe it in New York State. We live in New York State, Victor, New York. So this is a real example of something going on right now. What it's not, I think it's important to start with what it's not. Permissive referendum is not a vote against a resolution passed by the town board. So like on 12/18/2023, while everybody was doing their holiday stuff prior to Christmas. Prior to that, they had a bunch of private meetings and executive session about possibly buying a property. Well, they passed a resolution to buy the property. They didn't have any discussion or very little discussion in the meeting, but they passed it to buy $1 million property, a property locally, for a purpose that would really end up probably costing us 25 to 30 million. But the $1 million property, and when I looked and I saw it was assessed for 255,000, and then they're going to pay $1 million. That was the first flag for me. A friend of mine was the one that is asking me to look into it and maybe inform people about it or figure out if we should do anything. So anyway, so that's basically it. The problem that we have is possibly we don't have the answers. We don't know why they're paying so much for it, whether it's worth that amount, whether the property is good for the purposes. They made all those decisions over time for us, and then just basically dropped that just before Christmas. So there's a lot of us, in fact, now I know, I didn't know the other day when I started off a video about it, that just think that a permissive referendum would be the right decision in this matter. So getting back to the educative part of it, though, here's how it works. A qualified petition must be filed within 30 days of the adoption of the resolution by the board. And in this case, it started on 12/18/2023, even though almost nobody even knew they did it. And even if they put something out about it, most people were too involved in whatever was going on. I don't know if it was a strategic decision to do it at that time, but $1 million is a pretty sizable investment for the taxpayers of Victor. So that's what happened. So that's when it happened. So the 30 days starts from that point. I believe it's the 16th. We're going to hedge our bets and say the 15th is the deadline to get all the petitions ready. The petition must be signed and acknowledged, approved, or authenticated by electors of the town qualified to vote upon a proposition to raise and expend money. So that didn't really make total sense to me, so I had to clarify. The town clerk responded really quickly back to me, which she's doing the best job she can in thinking and explaining this. This is the first time, I guess, that maybe somebody's going to try a permissive referendum effort. But anyway, so the deal is that it's got to go to the Victor Town Clerk's office. All the petitions, if we're successful, I'm shooting, because I think the 5% amount is someplace around 650. It's under 700, but we're shooting for 800 because usually there's some names or things on petitions that get disqualified for whatever legal reason. So we're going to go for 800 in this instance. 650 or whatever that amount was is 5% of the last election where we had a gubernatorial race. So that's how we're going to do it here. The petition must be signed by voters totaling at least 5% of the total vote cast for New York State governor in the town of Victor at the last general election, held for a state officers. Yeah, last general election held for state officers protesting against. This doesn't really make sense. The resolution request, maybe it does. I'll read it again. The petition must be signed by voters totaling at least 5% of the total vote cast for New York State governor in the town of Victor at the last general election held for state officers protesting against the resolution requesting that it be submitted to the qualified electors of the town of Victor. Whatever the case, if this isn't worded right or whatever, I just want you to know I know what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to get at least, I'm saying at least 700, 800 would be best. Petitions signed in accordance. We've got the form. We did the best we could. We didn't have a lawyer check it over, but we went back and forth. And the people that asked me to help them, I helped them also a little bit with this. But it's not just me. We have actually 9 canvassers already. And I only first put the message out to tell people that this happened on the 1st. So today is the 5th of January. So to get the petition ready, understand it, all that stuff, even to find out whether it was something that maybe it should be proposed as a permissive referendum vote. The thing was, I did a survey, okay? I'm not saying scientific, but the fact that it's 98% of the respondents said that the town board should not be allowed, it should not go without questioning this decision to buy this property. 98%. That's like the most lopsided Facebook survey I've ever done, and I did it through the group you see here in the background. It's Victor at Farmington, Fishers, New York, property taxes. When is enough enough? If you go on Facebook, you can find it. You'll find the survey. You'll find a whole bunch of great questions, okay, and some answers. But the bottom line is this: why do you want to do a permissive referendum? Well, basically, in this situation, our beliefs, part of the reason I'm doing it, I think there's some questions that should be asked, of course, and not us, not the people that are doing the petition, but it should have been questions that were allowed to be asked prior to the vote. The information about what they were doing and why should have been presented at that time. After the fact, now I understand that the town representatives are scrambling to try to inform people about what they did and why, but if that's the way government does things, it's not open and transparent. I mean, keep in mind, this is $1 million decision that leads into a $25 to $30 million decision. And is it the right decision? That was never brought to the public eye. It was done in executive sessions, okay, and talk amongst themselves and the potential seller. So the property, okay, first off, there's something called eminent domain. Now, our town supervisor is okay with using eminent domain. He tried doing something with the property up at the local mall, but it basically didn't work. It fell apart. But eminent domain, I don't like the idea of government having that power, but they do. They can take property for public use, something that they say is for the benefit of the public. Well, in this instance, the town, I mean, if he's going to use it over there, why wouldn't he use it possibly? This is just a question. See, now I'm getting into questions. The educative part is over. All right. But why would he not say to that potential seller that we could just use eminent domain if you don't give us a good price? Okay. I don't know the answer to that. Did he use that? Didn't he use that? I mean, it's not a leverage I like to use because a lot of municipalities use it to go against private individuals. And it's not necessarily like a municipal building or a road or a highway. Sometimes it's just they want to give a sweetheart deal to developers. And for that reason, I don't like eminent domain generally. But I'm saying that the current town supervisor's already been trying to do that in another area in our town. So why wouldn't we possibly use that? Why would that not possibly be used? So I could ask you about 20 different questions and tell you some of the things that I learned, but basically the bottom line is this. If you believe that open and transparent government is important, and you believe that we deserve to know before they vote on something as big as $1 million purchase of a property, then sign the petition, because there's only like 10 days left right now. We've got 9 canvassers. We would like to have, I keep saying I, but it's actually a team, 9 canvassers right now, with sheets that can get up to 20 signatures. If they all get filled out, etc., we could count on, 180 signatures. We need to get at least 800. So please jump on board on this if you agree. It's more so, it's not voting the resolution down. It's people who get to decide. It's putting it back onto the people in a referendum vote for us to decide, and sort of to push our representatives to do the right thing, not just in this case, but whenever they're making decisions, that they go out of their way to make sure that the public is informed about the decision and why they're making it, and get some interaction going, because otherwise it's not really open or transparent. And so if you believe that to be true and you appreciate what I'm doing or what we're doing, please contact me directly. And now this is, like I said, it was the end of the education part, but now I'm telling people, because it's an active campaign going right now, we need people to get the petitions. We need them to get it out. We only need about 40 people to come up with 20 signatures each. You could do that probably in an hour in your neighborhood. But I think it's important. I believe that we should know before they make decisions like this. And actually, it's leading into more of like a $25 to $30 million decision that, if you want to ask me what it is, I could talk to you about that too, but this video has already gotten too long. The thing is that we need to have an open and transparent government. And in my view, right at this juncture, it's not how it is. I guess that's it. Have a great day.